Defense Secretary Robert Gates traveled to Texas Monday to tour Lockheed Martin's Joint Strike Fighter factory in Fort Worth. Secretary Gates has praised the F-35 as the latest generation of fighter aircraft and told reporters he's pleased with the progress being made, putting the F-35 into development and production.
We obviously have a huge investment in this aircraft. It is the heart of the future of tactical combat aviation for our services. So the importance of this program can hardly be overstated.
The Secretary said he expects to see the much anticipated assessment of strategy in Afghanistan sent to U.S. Central Command Monday by General Stanley McChrystal in the next day or two. Secretary Gates also said a lot of positive things have happened in Afghanistan, including holding elections in a country torn by war and the inclusion of more partner nation troops in the fight against the Taliban. For more on General Stanley McChrystal's strategic assessment, we turn to Petty Officer Christina Moore, who continues our team coverage.
General Stanley McChrystal Monday sent his assessment of the strategic situation in Afghanistan up to the commander of U.S. Central Command, General David Petraeus, as well as the commander of NATO's Joint Force Command, General Egan Rams. General Petraeus and General Rams will each add their comments to the assessment before forwarding it on to the U.S. Secretary of Defense Robert Gates, as well as NATO's Secretary General. According to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Admiral Michael Mullen, who spoke at an American Legion conference last week, the Pentagon will look at General McChrystal's assessment alongside the strategy President Obama has laid out and make recommendations to the president it thinks will best match the two. Reporting from the Pentagon, I'm Petty Officer Christina Moore.
And a U.S. service member was killed today in Afghanistan. International Security Forces officials say it happened during a hostile incident Monday in the southern part of the country. The service member's identity has not been released. The U.S. Coast Guard says 3 boaters who were missing for more than a week are alive and back home now. A separate vessel spotted the 3 men in the water off the coast of Port Aransas in Texas late Saturday and rescued them before the Coast Guard arrived to transport them to shore. The men were reported missing August 22nd after failing to return from a fishing trip. A U.S. soldier killed in Korea nearly 60 years ago was finally laid to rest at Fort Smith, Arkansas. Funeral services for Private First Class Johnny Mayberry were held Friday. Private First Class Mayberry was 18 when he was killed while serving with the Army at Chosin Reservoir in what is now North Korea on November 18, 1950. His remains were recovered in 2004. The remains were identified last month after DNA samples matched those of his sister and brother. And Monday is the deadline to submit your questions to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. The Joint Staff released this YouTube video calling for questions to be submitted to the chairman online. Admiral Mullen wants to use social media to expand his conversations with service members and the public. The chairman will answer selected questions after September 1st through a video podcast on YouTube. There will also be an interview right here on the Pentagon Channel. Coming up on Around the Services, teachers scramble to prepare for the start of the school year for military children, plus aim high. With only a 2-month climbing window, service members scramble to tackle Japan's tallest peak. We're there for the challenge. But first, Air Advantage. See how one U.S. air crew is helping Uganda's military deal with severe flooding woes that have plagued that country. Stick around, Sergeant Ted McDonald is back with more.